Hey guys, Austere August. We continue on with the same gear. Semogue Taj handle. Semogue Owners Club, the SOC is the brush. Timeless 68 open comb stainless steel is the razor. Going to keep using the Gillette Nacet. We are at 456 uses according to the card, and I think that's accurate. Chisel Face Midnight Stag is the scent that I have in the soap here, as well as the cologne, the EDP. And I still haven't found my Midnight Stag Splash. That is a duplicate. The other one got left at a relative's house. So I'm continuing to use and enjoy City Slicker, another divisive scent in the shaving world. Alright, so the brush here has been soaking for several minutes while I showered. I don't usually shower before a shave. A lot of guys do, and that's good. It gets your stubble ready and moisturized and hydrated. But you don't have to. You can splash some water, several splashes of water on it, get it just as hydrated. I've never had a problem doing it that way. Yesterday, I think I did 4 seconds here and ended up with plenty of lather. Let's just do 4 seconds again. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I'm letting kind of the excess water, kind of bubbly looking water, drip out of the soap there. And we are good to go. Thermostat in this little rental room I have is not really set to be super pleasant for me at this time of day. It's set to be kind of economical and conservative, and while that's great on the price tag, I decided to, in the hallway there, put a little fan kind of pointed in my direction. It's kind of quiet, so I hope it's not going to be an audio problem for you guys listening. In a relatively quick amount of time, we've got a normal lather kind of whipping up here. I don't remember, everything kind of happened fast. I don't remember if I shook out the brush as much as I usually do. Let's add about 15 milliliters of water there. See where that gets us. I think we're looking pretty good. This is a base that I can't take to my usual levels of hydration. Take a look at that. That's looking pretty good, huh? Let's just go with that. Get my face wet. So my fellow shavers in Austere August are choosing to stick with something all month. That's kind of the point. As I've mentioned it a few times, some of us do Midnight Stag all month. Some people are doing a straight razor all month. Some people, there's another side challenge with Mammoth soaps. I could tell that this could use a little bit more water. one of the challenges the bore, to use a bore brush all month, but not just any old bore brush. One that you have, they're calling it raw hogging, and one that you have purchased and never used. It's a brand new, it's an unused bore brush that you started the month out with, and I think that's terrific. We're on about the 8th or the 9th day of the month, and so there's some of those people, depending on what brush they chose, some people who are going to be already in kind of a happy place where the blade, the brush is starting to get comfy. It's starting to not really eat lather like it used to. Still a few people who maybe another week is going to be that defining moment where things change. I'm looking forward to hearing more about their experience. So here's my Nacet blade with so many uses. We got an N up there etched, a 1 down there etched, and a Sharpie dot right there, and the little curved area of the blade that got damaged when I dropped it a couple hundred uses ago. We're going to take this timeless razor that was a kind of a blind choice to use for this month. I didn't time out my shaves right to where I could have a prep practice with this razor to see if it would be good for the Nacet. It was at one point during the life of the blade, but then I moved on to other razors. I wasn't sure if it was going to be good, but I figured, hey, let's go for it. And it's been a good choice. That worked out, and I'm glad. There are other razors that are not as effective, efficient, if you will, where it just takes a lot of time to make the old blade do its job. And it's just all about the angles and where the head points the blade, how much curve it tries to put on the blade, what angle it makes the blade try to approach the skin at. Comfortable shave, just a small amount of tugging. It's not painful at all. It's really not even, inconvenient or anything like that. Not bothersome. I bet it would be if I was to go against the grain. I might try that sometime. Maybe I'll try that this shave just to see. Because a lot of you guys do go against the grain because you want a great shave. Nothing wrong with that. But even with a good blade, good in terms of young, I can't go against the grain usually. I think my hair follicles point my hair in a direction, especially on my neck. I could do it on my face, I think. But on my neck, I believe they point. The hair is kind of parallel to the skin. And so you go against the grain, it just does a lot of lifting of the skin as well. And so I maybe that's why I get cuts and irritation when I do that. Cross grain now. Lately, 4 passes is all I've needed to do to get a close shave. In various other scenarios with this blade, I've had to do 5 passes. I don't mind that. They're usually pretty fast. Since that first pass started out looking like it needed some water, I'm leaving kind of excess drops on my face after the rinses, and that is hydrating my lather here and I'll bet by the end of the shave it's going to be pretty much perfect. Cross grain again. I do short strokes because I use those to keep my angle right. Now I'm constantly reevaluating. My hand and my mind working together with the feeling on my skin. If I feel like that particular stroke just didn't get anything, I think, well, how's the angle? Could it be improved? And I hit it again, changing the angle ever so slightly, or just like then, if I feel like maybe I have the wrong angle and it's a little too grabby, then I can close in or open up or just change the pressure, that kind of thing, to make sure everything goes well. And then so I'm just doing that hundreds of times per pass, and it's a second nature now, and it helps me to get the angle right pretty much all the time. Maybe this is the fourth pass. I think maybe it's the fourth. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to do the same thing, but this time when I do cross grain, I'm going to tilt up a little bit. To add a slicing motion. See it better when I do this side. On your neck, you have to be more strategic, more mindful when you change your angles. And so here, instead of keeping the handle and parallel with a certain direction, I'm actually going to turn the razor and then move along that angular direction that way. Same effect, same kind of slicing motion. Shall we try against the grain now? Just for grins. It'll probably be okay on my face, but I bet my neck might holler at me and object. Brush continuing to feel good, soft. 72 or 73 uses, something like that. That's the reason I chose this brush. Was this is the one I want to put a lot of uses on and try to get to a really mature point with all the tips that are going to being split, to get to that kind of bore nirvana, you know what I mean? That place where we tolerate bad bore brushes for 5 to 15 uses in the very beginning, of just not really enjoying them, knowing the future that we have ahead for us. And then after that introductory rough period, we have this kind of mediocre period where it works well, but it's not soft like a badger. Now, of course, the guys who like a little bit of backbone, a little bit of wiriness, that sort of thing, they're in a happy place for quite a while with some bore brushes. All right, so let's try. I'm going to do a slanted against the grain here. Just to mitigate any negative effects. And then this is before I do too much else, let's do the other side. I don't usually do this, and so when it comes to my neck, I'm gonna have to think about my strokes because it's not part of my natural rhythm. And so, and I'm gonna be like a beginner now, not knowing what strokes I should do. And what I advise all beginners to do is just go slow, let your muscle memory develop. My grain goes from here and kind of exits over right here going down this way, comes down, it comes toward the center a little, does a turn, and then makes that same exit that this side does. So right here it's pretty much going across. Here it's got a little S curve kind of thing over here. So over here against the grain's pretty much going to be something like this. Ooh, I can feel that catching. This is another case where the the shorter strokes really comes in handy because you can kind of stop yourself. If you get into a really aggressive place where you're maybe thinking that that's a little too much tugging, that you're going to generate some problems, some irritation for yourself, then you can pretty quickly abandon ship. Or what I did was, let's say I've got a bunch of hair right here. I started at the top with small strokes, and then I slowly worked my way down. And so that way, I was never doing a whole bunch of against the grain all in one stroke. I was doing tiny strokes, and then I would wait and move on until I felt like the stroke was effective. And then I had kind of conquered this area, so then I'd move down, work on that area, then move down. You know, that was my strategy. Let's just see if I ended up with a closer shave than usual. Get a good rinse now. Yeah, I think they got me maybe a little closer than I usually get without against the grain, but having to tread so lightly and being careful, and then just it doesn't feel all that great. That's just why I avoid against the grain altogether. All right, so 4 seconds in the loading gave me 5 passes of lather plus this huge glob right here. Another at least 2 passes right there, probably 3 if I really wanted to. That's 8 total passes of lather from 4 seconds of loading and around 15 milliliters of water added after the fact. Let's see if the alcohol-based splash here is going to tell us anything about how today's shave went. Oh man, there's some neat woody tones in this that I really like. It's a shame it didn't take off with other folks like it has me. I'm going to just kind of soak in this splash here for a little bit before I put on the Midnight Stag cologne. I'm going to take care of the razor and blade. As usual, I'm just going to pat the blade dry. Timeless does sometimes kind of make the blade stick in there. And so see, I'm only holding the blade and it's not dropping off. And so just a gentle lift. I guess there's some threading down there that kind of grabs the hold of the blade, the center part. The scalloped top cap here. Of course, the scalloping coincides with the open comb. If you do have the scalloped base plate, just as a little bit of trivia, I don't think the scallop does anything in terms of the experience of the shave. I think it's an aesthetic thing. So if you're shopping for a timeless stainless steel and you wonder, because their site actually says that the scalloped head of either the 68 or the 95 is a touch more aggressive or a touch less smooth, you can put it that way, than the solid bar, the pure solid bar. If that's true, it was almost unnoticeable by me in the tests that I've done. And so I would just go with whatever looks good to you, whatever visually appeals to you, because at least to me, they're pretty much the same experience. So just visually, whatever you like better. Let's take the Sharpie and start a new row of the 5 dots there to do 456. The Excalibur Club is the way it's named if you're a participant over on badgerandblade.com. There's a forum system there with lots of good information for shavers. I've mentioned how I enjoy Reddit a lot, and I'm kind of mainly there because with Reddit you can just check so many communities under one kind of umbrella. With Badger and Blade, you have to go to that site specifically, and that's just a little bit more troublesome. It's not as mobile friendly, and so I just don't check there as often. But so much good information there, lots of good guys who know what they're talking about, and so I advise you checking that out as well if you are a shaver. I don't think it's as friendly to vendors. I think if you want to be a vendor there, you have to kind of pay money, and so it's not as geared toward being friendly to vendors as other places are. If you are curious about boar brushes and how they mature, at least in the first 9 days, I recommend you going over to the wet shaving subreddit, on Reddit, of course, and find the most recent SOTD thread for the Austere August challenge, and then just maybe do a search there for boar or raw hoggin, probably raw hoggin, RAWHOGGIN, no space. And that'll put you through the guys who are doing that, and many of them, they're taking a picture of their brush every day, whether it's from the top, whatever, and you can see how the brush was from the very beginning, where there were no splits and it was all like straight up and down, and then you can gradually see how the tips are splitting, how the bloom is opening up, that sort of thing. If you're interested in that, which I really enjoy that, then go over there and give it a shot. Of course, with just 9 days, you'll only see a little bit of change. I'm really looking forward to the end of the month where we can see 31 days of change. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Here's a little bit of trivia. This is the stand for the Feather ASD2 razor, and it just so happens that Timeless fits in there perfectly. It's not really too much of a life hack because I'm pretty sure Feather is charging a premium. I happen to have that stand because I bought that ASD2 razor. I don't usually buy stands, but just to let you know, it fits the Timeless as well. Now, I'm glad we kept rolling, I might have forgotten to put the EDP on. I can bask in some of this Midnight Stag glory while I finish up my work a little bit tonight. And that's it, guys. That's it for today's shave. Keep on going with August. Thank you so much for your support, and thanks for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care now. Good night.